Someday this is going to show up on Facebook Live and people are going to be like, what the? Okay, so the first thing you do when you walk up to a heart on the test is, or any time, figure out what's your left versus your right. And the best way to do that is look for the thicker wall. The thicker wall is going to be on the left side of the heart because the left side of the heart has to pump blood to the entire body. The right side of the heart's going to the lungs and back to the heart, so it doesn't have to work as hard. So I'm going to walk through, actually I'm going to do two things and then we'll walk through the blood flow. So the interventricular septum is the wall that separates the left and the right ventricles. Name breaks down to enter between ventricles. Septum means wall, just like your nasal septum. And then myocardium is all of the heart muscle. I would pin it on the outside and not in the interventricular septum, okay? But that is something that if you're not sure, you're welcome to say, hey, do you mean just this wall? Do you mean all of it? Make sure you word your questions carefully. Okay, the other hint I have, I'll point out the chambers next. Pay attention to the wording on the questions, because if I want a chamber, the question is going to say what chamber. If I want a structure, it's going to say name the structure. And the reason I do that is because if I'm pinning a papillary muscle, it's going to be in a ventricle. I can't do it any other way. So if I want chamber, the question will say what chamber. So for the chambers, we have the right atrium, the right ventricle, the left atrium, and the left ventricle. Okay. So for blood flow, this is going to take me not speedy, but that's okay. All right, so we have the vena cava that feeds into the right atrium. It passes through the tricuspid valves to the right ventricle. It will then pass out, this one's going to take me a few seconds to find, through the pulmonary, nope, not that one, pulmonary semilunar valve into the pulmonary artery to, that one. Aha, I got it. Through the pulmonary artery to, through the pulmonary semilunar valve to the pulmonary artery to the lungs. And y'all can see how much I'm struggling with this, and I know where I'm going. Aha, I got it. So, and I will pull this up later so you can see it. But if you look way down deep into the right ventricle, you can see the very tip of the probe coming out in there. Now, you can see how hard it is to find that showing up. Oh, wait, I can get it in just a little bit further. There we go. Now you can see it in the right ventricle hanging out there. I've passed through the pulmonary semilunar valve. There is no way you can spot it, right? Yeah, way down in there. Pulmonary semilunar valve, pulmonary artery are great questions for the model that's sitting at the back of the room. Hint, hint. But you see how I have the probe in the vessel. So anytime I'm doing these vessels, the probe will be in it. So you can figure out which chamber it's going to. Okay, come back out. All right, so after we go to the lungs, we return to the heart via the pulmonary veins, which feed into the left atrium. Blood goes from the left atrium through the bicuspid valve into the left ventricle. So the blood's coming down, it comes down, and it's got to go back up past the bicuspid valve over to the side and into the aorta. And you can see this side's a little bit better, so we come up. This is the aorta here, and you have the aortic semilunar valves, which you can pull out and look kind of cup-like. Okay. All right, so this is the aorta. These are the aortic semilunar valves, and then this would be the left ventricle. But again, for the even the aorta, let's see how this one's cut. These are all cut slightly differently. Yeah, so you can see the valve really well here, but the aorta itself is kind of horrible. So I'd have the probe in it and say, what vessel is this? Or what vessel is indicated by the probe, so that you can tell. I'm trying to think if there's anything. Oh, again, follow the blood flow, helps you along. You try things before you buy them, or you ride a tricycle before you ride a bicycle, so tricuspid's on the right side. bicuspids on the left side. Okay. Get that blood flow down. Use a song. There's several out there. Is there anything I missed on the list? Oh, I didn't do the chordae tendineae and the papillary muscles. Yeah. So the chordae tendineae are these strings that are attached to both the tricuspid and the bicuspid. Okay. And they come down and they are attached to these muscles that are kind of finger-like. And those are the papillary muscles. So they attach the chordae tendineae to the heart wall. The chordae tendineae stop the valve from flipping backwards when the heart pumps. So you have valve, you have strings, and you have muscle, and those are acceptable terms when you're asking for clarification on the test. Okay? Don't go, do you mean the chordae tendineae? I can't answer that question. Do you mean the strings? Yes. All right. All right, did I miss anything else? Was that it? I think that was it. Thank you. I think that's all of it. Okay.
So stupid question.
It's like a 5-minute video.
Okay.
Anybody want to airdrop that to me?
I'll do it. So it's the only time that less oxygenated blood is going to the vein.
Correct.
Yes.
It's just
Yes.
what 30 because
Yeah. So the